I just want to encourage young people that we can be the biggest asset to this country. I think as we lobby government, as we challenge systems here and there, we also have to organize ourselves better to make a meaningful contribution.
Hi, top VIPs. Welcome to another episode of this podcast. And in this very session, The Truth with VIPs, we are going to be talking about information poverty, and it is something that will enlighten you about how to deal with information. And I have been joined by Julia Muhumuza. She's a youth impactor and she's currently running for the Youth Female MP. Julia Muhumuza, welcome to the Top VIPs podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone listening in on such a very important topic in such a critical time of our country.
Interesting. So today we are going to be talking about information poverty. So when you hear information poverty, what is that real life situation that comes into your mind?
Well, I think we live in a generation of too much information, but you'll be shocked that information poverty is real. Just to be clear, you see, even with just the elections happening, there are very many people that are not aware about where to vote from, where am I registered to vote, how do I vote. And even when we take it broader than the elections in terms of governance, we've had the government try to set up very many programs for young people, but even the intended beneficiaries end up not benefiting because they do not even know these programs exist. Or if they know, they actually do not know the processes of them actually benefiting from such programs. Yeah, so for me, information poverty is beyond just having access to information, but also being in position to comprehend and make very good use of information.
That's interesting. So you have been really engaging with the youth, and I would like to know what it is like for, what do you think it is like for someone to lack information?
We live in such an interesting generation, like I say. I'm proudly part of the Gen Zs. So I want to say there is so much information out there, like I mentioned earlier, but oftentimes that too much information we have is not verified information. Yeah, so for me, that's where I want to start from. But again, if we talk about this information existing, now, for example, for the young people, most of the institutions are built in a way that they pass on this information, but technically, they do not break it down for someone to actually comprehend it and know what this means. You know, for us young people, there is a way we share information. I think you've seen it on social media.
Yeah.
It has to be in a very more either fun way or you're using simple terms. I think that's why misinformation spreads faster than the actual information. But again, on the other side of leadership, governance, programs, whatever the institutions have to communicate, they are still stuck in a rigid way of communicating something formally. So oftentimes there is that mismatch. But then what does it mean for a young person having information poverty? What does it really mean for them? For me, I think, one, of course, you end up not benefiting from what you should benefit from. But two, we also see exclusion because, like I mentioned, some of these programs could exist. They would help you, but you end up not benefiting because either you do not know about them or you do not know what it takes for you. But also, eventually, we see that even young people being the majority in the country, we end up seeing young people actually marginalized for the same kind of information, because we end up seeing even young people out of decision-making processes or the rooms and all of that, because everything starts with information.
So you're trying to say that decision-making, young people are not being engaged in decision-making because of their information poverty?
It's a factor. I want to say it's systematic, but information is a very, very big factor. Currently, we have I'm voted through Electoral College. That's the National Youth Council. But I'll be honest, very few young people out there know about the National Youth Council. But this body has over 600,000 young leaders from village level to district level. And there is a section that has been excluded from participating in such structures because they do not know what it takes. Even just talking about I'm running for youth member of parliament, you find people saying, oh, how am I voting for you? They do not know that we have voted in electoral college. But there could be very many young leaders that would take up these positions or to just step up and contest for such positions, but they end up not doing so because of that information gap. And then those that know eventually are excluded because they do not know how to comprehend. But this is beyond politics. I think generally, even with life, we need to bridge just not the information gap, also deal with misinformation, but also actively empower young people to be, I want to say, what's it called, like active actors to handle information poverty. Because like I mentioned earlier, we young people know how best to communicate so that our fellows actually understand. I think you saw what happened with the Gen Z's protests in Kenya.
Yeah.
I loved the whole idea of how they brought down the finance bill. They interpreted it in very many languages, and they made sure they actually used the simplest of languages so that even those that did not go to school understand the implications of that. Now, for me, that is information. Yeah, everyone has a role to play, but I feel like we can actively engage in trying to solve this issue.
Yeah, so you have talked about that, like the way the youth in Kenya were engaged, like they know every update. So coming back here in Uganda, where do you think these gaps are coming from? Are they coming from the schools? Are they coming from the government? Is it a part that the youth have failed to fill? Yeah, where are these gaps coming from?
I think everyone is contributing to this gap either widening or so, because if we start with the actors, let's break it down. The way media is wired lately is based on, I don't want to use the hard, I don't know if it's the algorithm.
Yeah.
They want to go with what can trend. Yeah. Even as young people, I think most of us young people are the ones actively using social media. But before you put out something, oftentimes you're either putting out, if you want it to trend, it has to be controversial. So there's a way I think media has to, I don't want to say balance the boat. Yeah, as you're trying to push content, how do you communicate your content without misleading people? Yeah, so for me, media is the biggest game changer here, because you see, long time ago, people would just listen in from the radio, and maybe we have the leader saying, oh, this is how we are going to vote. Go and vote from here. Like the instructions come, you just follow. But today, if you open TikTok, literally everyone has an opinion about the election. And we have lace about how do we verify that whatever Julia is saying is right.
Yeah, some are actually saying that they already know the winner.
Exactly. Yeah, you see, like, we were joking about, that UCC false later. Someone can go on their desk, even with AI, things are worse. They draft something, it moves faster, and it takes hours for the institution to reply. So we also have that backlog. Institutions have failed to adapt with how fast information is moving in this media era, the social media era. But then when we go back to education, I think education also has a very big role it has played. When you look at our education system, I think they're just trying to change with our competence best. But we've gone through school to reproduce and pass and move on to what next. The education system has not brought us out to critically think, challenge, question. That is why today it's very easy for me to see something and I confirm it without challenging. Is it actually true? Yeah. So education also has contributed a role, but also us young people. I want to speak more to young people because young people are the majority in this country.
Yeah.
And for us, the way we are doing things, I want to say it's a bit faster. They keep saying that Gen Zs just want to get done with it. Yeah. It's a bit faster. Our approach to communication is really different. And I think there is that gap between us and our elders. Yeah, with AI, with the different social media platforms. How then do we make sure we are active actors? I think it's something I hinted on last time. Yeah, if there is, for example, if we are saying we need young people, you'll be shocked. We are going to the polls this week. But there is a section of young people who have, like you mentioned earlier, they'll say, oh, we know the winner. We're not even going to vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is that I have to say, there is so much going on in the communication space or in the information space that even if someone wanted to go out and vote and they say, okay, we know who's like,
The
why
winner.
would I? There is just a lot of misinformation around security, or I've been seeing people trying to say, oh, get out of here. But there are institutions in place that are saying, no, we're going to have a very peaceful election. But you see, we are living in a generation where I trust my peer more than I trust the institution. The police or whatever, or the army, whoever is in charge will come out, they release a very long document that we shall not even read. And then our peer will just go on their WhatsApp status and just write one sentence. It will be screenshotted and it will be reposted more than the official communication from the institution. Yeah. And then before we leave the topic, because now we are in an election period, you realize there is a lot of what I call affective polarization. I'm supporting a candidate because of the emotions, how they have talked to me, like that emotional attachment.
Yeah.
So you realize now the information...
Backing it with some cash.
Yeah, cash. Like there's just so much going on. So there is that, I don't want to call it a cult. Like I rather believe what this person is saying than what the body in charge is communicating.
Yeah.
So I think all of us have a role to play, from the institutions, young people, to emphasize young people. For example, if today, right now, when you scroll on social media, there is so much about misinformation, there is so much about us campaigning for our candidates, than actually what, in simple terms, this period would mean in terms of voting. Yeah. You know, I was joking about the idea that when you scroll on social media now, there are people saying that if you like the president, President Museveni, tick, and then you go ahead and cross the umbrella.
Yeah.
You see, we're joking about it, but there are people that say, okay, they will go tick and also cross. That's invalid.
Yeah.
But there is lace about how do we counter such information, because there are people that fall for it. Like they would go that mile because I'm attached to this candidate to do it in this way and this way. Yeah.
So you have seen the rise of so many content creators, and I feel like the misinformation is coming from so many content creators. Everyone wants to give their opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think should be the responsibility for someone to start contributing, like being a contributor? You're contributing your information, and related, like I said, content creators, most of them, they are just giving their opinions. But how can these content creators, what could be the responsibilities they should embody before they start contributing whatever information they are producing?
That's a very interesting one. But when you look through currently the policies and everything, from a technical perspective, I think the government has deliberately ignored content creators, influencing, and all of that. I don't know if it's intentional, but then we have a big problem. Yeah, because now these are the biggest contributors to information. An institution will come, say very many things. They may even have a presser with every media house available.
Yeah.
Someone will go on TikTok live and they will appeal to masses more than the right authorities.
Yeah.
So there must be deliberate effort, one, from the stakeholders, to not only look at the content creators as maybe a parallel industry, but ones with which we can actually work together. For me, that's what I need to emphasize. If we had content creators in this our generation, I think we should even have content creators in every institution. Yeah? Before you call all media houses together, there is that one person on TikTok who has... people believe in this person.
Yeah.
They do not have legitimate authority.
Once they go
people
live,
listen. Once they go live, people are going to take... for
whatever they
sometimes
share.
I wonder, like, people even... like, if this person is to go live, they're even waiting anxiously to listen in.
Yeah.
But we have institutions that will go live. They don't have a following. There is that mismatch. So I think it's high time we have that integration between the existing institutions and then fully bringing on board content creators.
Okay.
Not from the angle of, we just look at it cliche, you're creating content. But these young people or people are playing a very big role towards information dissemination. Yeah. And oftentimes they're hinged on the side of misinformation because they communicate what they want to communicate. Point blank.
Yeah.
But if we have those deliberate efforts, you see that most of these people would be empowered. Some of them would even be trained. Capacity will be built, and eventually we can have that collaborative working relationship with influencers. Yeah, so for me, I think there is just need for deliberate effort for government to realize that we need these people in communication. How do we absorb them? But also not absorbing them in the institution, and then you know how like the formal world works, like this is how you have to do it, because content creation oftentimes is like freestyle.
Yeah.
If you over rehearse something, if you stick to the script, you may not appeal the way you would have appealed if you just allowed yourself to
Be
wing
free.
it. Free it. Yeah, so it's just that collaborative approach. But also now we even from the policy perspective, right now the country does not have an AI policy. We have a lot of deep fakes, you can imagine. We've just been talking about misinformation from just the surface. Now, like, I will literally go online and there is a video of me saying things that I never said.
The other time, Anita, there is a video that was saying we are going to shut down the internet.
Right. And people have believed it because it looks real.
Yeah.
But we have not yet sat as a country and say, okay, how do we counter this? How do we move forward? I know there's been attempts here and there, but for me, it starts with that collaborative approach, the intentional, deliberate efforts to make it work, and a lot of still capacity building among,
Yeah, so you
creators.
have tapped into international networks, studying from Oxford University. How do you think young people, as we conclude, how do you think young people can also go beyond the veil, break information poverty, they tap into such big networks?
Okay, so one, it is a very big opportunity. I think it has challenged me in very many ways and how best I can also contribute to my country. But I want to start with something simple. Most of these opportunities out there, very many young people are not taking advantage because they just do not have information. Or they have information, but the information is not, I don't want to say, it's not broken down for them to know this is how I use the information, this is how I go through the process, and it's possible. Because I remember when I started my studies at Oxford, I just made a post about it. And to very many, it seemed like maybe it's an opportunity for just a privileged kind of the few minority or something.
Yeah.
But they don't know that anyone can apply. Actually, there are very many scholarships for African students. Once you're in, oftentimes, you just be interviewing for a couple of them. Yeah. So information, of course, we just have to, I kept telling people, no, you can apply. Every information is on the website. But there also must be that deliberate effort to take them through the processes, how to write. But to answer your question fully, I just want to say that we young people, there's a way we understand information, and there's a way we can also make it easy for our fellows to understand information. So we have to take an active role to making sure whatever information in our society is actually broken down in the simplest of ways, and also it's just not in English. Yeah, because
different languages,
really.
Yeah.
If I can speak Luganda, I like the idea that we have very many young people coming up that I think even on TikTok, I saw it sometime back when the whole election cycle had started, or campaigns, and they were breaking what these manifestos are talking about. Like these manifestos were written with very many pages. Not everyone is going to read those things,
Yeah.
I mean. But there is a section of young people who sat down, read everything, summarized it, and came and recorded a video in less than a minute telling you about what each candidate has to offer in the simplest of ways. Now, for me, that is the biggest game changer to information poverty at all levels, be it governance, be it elections, be it general life, accessing opportunities. If today I go to Oxford, when I come back, how do I use my social media? I don't need to go to a media house, or I don't need to call for a presser. Get on my phone, record a very short clip. Guys, this is how you apply, the application deadline. Even if I just share the link, that is already a step. What next? Can we have even if it's like an opportunity beyond just studying, internships, government programs. Recently, I was seeing Minister of Gender, I think, calling people to apply. And very many people, okay, were sharing the flyer. But if you ask, even those that went to school, by the way, and graduated, if they understood, okay, from just understanding who is the target, how do you apply? How do you go through the process? Because you see, now we are starting to see most of institutions now bringing the whole application online thing. Very few people know how to do these things. You'll be shocked. You go to university, you graduate, but you don't know how to apply online. Upload things, they'll tell you merge all your documents into one. Someone will just get to that level and leave it. You see applications for opportunities. So there must be, like, for me, I think we young people, especially if you've had a chance to go through this, if you've had a chance to understand how to analyze policies, use your social media, use whatever is next available to you to break it down and make information access to these people. But then from the other side of stakeholders and other actors, they must know that we young people are ready to work with them. Yeah, we are not parallel and we can be integrated and support communication flows easily.
Yeah. So I hope you guys have been able to learn a lot when it comes to information poverty, because it is a key resource to so many things. It opens so many doors.
Yeah.
So what would be your last conclusion or the remarks?
One, since we're going to vote, I just want to encourage all young people. Politics is everyone's business, really. Yeah, it's not for a few. So go out there and vote. Cast your vote and go back home. Yeah. Because
No staying at the polling
don't
station.
guys, if we've been talking about information has been clear. Vote and go home. So I'm also telling young people, cast your vote and go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So beyond all of that, I just want to speak directly to young people. My name is Julia Muhumuza once again, and I'm aspiring for National Female Youth Member of Parliament. Yes, I'm voted in an electoral college, but I think this is more about young people. I just want to encourage young people that we are the biggest percentage of this country. We can be the biggest asset to this country. I think as we lobby government, as we challenge systems here and there, we also have to organize ourselves better to make a meaningful contribution. And that is why all through tackling information poverty, I have been emphasizing the role young people can have. Yeah, if we look at ourselves as one that can have a building block, maybe fighting misinformation, how do we more pass on credible information? How do we interpret this information in the basic of languages? How do we interpret it? We are all contributing meaningfully to our country. You do not see it, but it starts with you, and collectively we have a bigger voice. Yeah, I thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Top VIPs, catch you in the next episode.